Welcome in to Game Night Live Rewind's Game of the Week. Come to you live from Lone Peak High School, a Region 4 battle as the American Fork Cavemen prepare to take on Lone Peak. Thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Dane Stewart. Pleased to be joined by Tim Haslam from the Utah Lax Report. Tim, these two teams, I think, Corner Canyon, cream of the crop in Region 4. Then it's these two. AF got the win at American Fork. The return game here tonight, crucial for region standings and ultimate RPI seeding.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun game. Dane, that's why we're here. We thought this one would be a great one. Really looking forward to it. I expect it to be a great game. Pretty close. Excited.
AF in the black uniforms as we've got an early whistle here. And is that a substitution?
Looked like an illegal procedure. I think that they did substitute a little too quickly there, which is funny, Dane, because when we were at the Utah game on Saturday, we saw them called for that, and I said, that happens in every high school game. They never call it. But yet, here we are.
American Fork in the road black uniforms, Lone Peak in the home whites. And how about the up and down? I mean, we're 20 seconds in, and both teams being active, aggressive. But we talked about these two teams played earlier. It was an 8-6 win for American Fork. They led 4-2 at the break. The sides were even in the second half. And it'll be interesting to see. Tim, we talked about before the game, I was surprised that the defenses were as successful in that first game as they were. And we'll see if that tide holds here in our game here tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of tricky weather here tonight, as I'm sure everywhere is experiencing. It's been gusty, it's been windy. It's that weird warm wind. So we'll see if that plays a factor. I know it played a factor for the American Fork game on Tuesday. So we'll track that as the game goes on. The assistant coach for American Fork I was talking to said that they would throw a pass and it would just kind of sink as it fell into the wind. So something to sort of pay attention to. But both teams got to play in it, But we'll see how that works out as the game goes on.
It's a good look there for Ethan Densley on that opportunity for Lone Peak. They were able to back it up as the shot went off the post. Lone Peak still with it here. Starting goalie is that one. Well, starting goalie gives one up. There's Densley able to score it, and it's 1-0 Lone Peak.
He found the smallest sliver of space there. I thought that was outside for sure and was wondering why everyone was celebrating, but just a great goal there. The slide came a tad late, Dane, from the American Fork defense. I'd like to see him get up a little quicker, get a stick in the lane, try to prevent that shot.
Starting goalie is Jacob Klein, the senior. He's got a .539 save percentage on the year for American Fork. And Densley, we talked about, he missed the one just off the pipe and gets another look from a similar angle. I mean, you're a minute and a half into this game, Tim, and Lone Peak's been able to get that kind of that same angle open looks there. It's a note for Coach Tucker's squad.
Yeah, and afterwards I saw him kind of signaling to the goalie, put your hip on the pipe. That's what these kids are coached, and so as long as he does that, I think, they'll be fine moving forward.
AF, their second possession of the game. Starting goalie today appears to be Brady Bushman, the sophomore. They'll run a pair of sophomores, or at least have over the course of the season. Bushman with a .612 save percentage for Lone Peak is a big windup and an answer coming from American Fork. That's a big goal, and I love the exuberance there by Noah Fisher.
Yeah, great crossfield pass, great vision there. Able to get it to Fisher. Fisher comes into this game at 6'9", the tallest player in high school lacrosse. I had to ask because my nephew is 6'7", and so I was wondering if he was the tallest, but he's not by 2 inches. Fisher, 6'9", just towers over the defense there. And just a great overhand shot, great placement on that far pipe. You start bouncing shots like that off this turf, and they'll go in every time.
That's going to give you some pretty good leverage on that overhand shot, huh?
It's funny because Eric Mika, the former BYU basketball star, played lacrosse for Lone Peak. And so similar thing there. He was as tall, if not taller. But my brother has a great shot from when they played in the championship game in 2014 of him jumping, doing a jump shot. I mean, Dane, his head's 20 feet in the air. It was incredible. Just a fun memory.
That's great. Then, look, they've looked to Noah twice. I mean, remember that initial possession? He was the one with the windup as they got called for the procedure penalty. He's one of their top goal scorers. 21 goals on the year for Noah. Tate Fisher has 20, so that duo's been spectacular. And, I mean, they're behind Camden Oswald. There's a lot of offense for American Fork here this year.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how the game plays out, who steps up. Like you said, they've got a bunch of talented guys Be interesting to see as this game goes on who Lone Peak really focuses on defensively, and then who they kind of give free rein to.
That one turned over in the middle, and here comes Noah. Noah, those long arms, big wind up again. That bounce shot just wide backed up here by American Fork, as that was Oswald, who we just alluded to earlier. And you go from 6'9" to, I don't know, 5'8"?
Yeah.
I don't have a height. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but not uncommon, I guess, in these days for this squad.
This is your speed guy. And case on point, working right around. Boy, good stick work there to jar it loose. Ball being swept up, and Lone Peak has as they try to escape the zone with Luke Broussard. Lone Peak coming up here with Couillard. Top goal scorers for the night. He's got 19 on the year. Neuenschwander with 29. Tucker with 24. Both these teams, AF's only played 8 games. Lone Peak has played 12. They're both over 100 goals on the year. They're both accustomed to getting double digits, finding the back of the net. And for Lone Peak, that's been an item. Look, they had a tough non-region slate. But I'm trying to get back to winning ways here in Region 4. Lost to Conor Kelly and American Fork because they work here GLE, and one on the turf, regathered by Christensen, sent out. Here's Neuenschwander looking for a lane, working around the defense. Anders, and that just wide backed up here.
Great little movement there. I see a lot in his game that he models after the Lone Peak midi last year, Garrett Haas, as we see an excellent goal here by Lone Peak.
How about Jackson Britton? He goes high to high on that, just under the crossbar, over the shoulder there of the goalie Klein, and Lone Peak retaking the lead.
And that's just great ball movement. You see them coming off the inbound play. That's a great time to attack because the defense is kind of still sleepy, not necessarily paying attention. And just great shot placement there, that hitting that top shelf right over the goalie's head. Dane, when the season began, we weren't really sure what Lone Peak would have. But as the season's progressed, we've really found out that they still have a great team, even after losing 2 All-Americans last year. And they just have a great team. They play great team offense, great team defense. So it's good to see them performing at this level.
Well, when you talk about a team that, you've got to replace a lot of guys, how about a pair of sophomore goalies? I mean, that have been spectacular. We talked about today Bushman getting the start. Talk about they run a pair. Feint, also a keep for this Lone Peak squad. He's got a save percentage near 600 himself. So the sophomore keeps have been spectacular for Lone Peak this year.
Yeah, and it's never easy coming into a varsity situation as sophomores. Remember, Dan, they were 8th graders with COVID?
Right.
Last year they came in as freshmen, and now this year as sophomores. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over their career, as we see a great ride here by Lone Peak, able to get that ball back.
Here's Neuenschwander. Both goals coming from the right angle for Lone Peak.
Yeah, almost the exact same spot on the field.
Right.
Almost the exact hash.
Yep.
So definitely something to watch here as they progress through this game.
Near side with Denny. Tyler, boy, he had that same spot, and that was just shy or just wide of the post there. Again, getting that same angle.
I'd like to see him keep running on that. It felt like he stopped his feet, really lost that momentum. And that's tricky because you need that momentum, if you're going to get past the goalie.
Changes here, and it really opens up the field for American Fork. Noah open, and that might have been deflected. The shot backed up here.
It's always interesting to see how teams play a goalie who's coming out of the cage. Lone Peak opting to let him just run it down the field. I might guard him next time.
Nice save put on there by Bushman. I'll tell you, we talk about Lone Peak getting that angle. Right now, Noah Fisher is getting about 8 yards out, right in front of the goal with no defense. That might be a problem.
Yeah, he's definitely found his spot, his niche, and the American Fork attack has been able to get it to him in that spot. And just like we've talked about, he doesn't really tower over this defenseman because he's also tall, but just a big presence, big body. Exciting to see what ends up happening here with him.
Lone Peak putting this in play as it went out of play. Want to let you know the clock you see on your screen, unofficial. We do our best to keep that as synchronized with the game clock as we can. At times you'll see us start it early, start it late, try to make up for lost time. As Lone Peak with it here. Annex with Christofferson. Swings it over with Couillard now Christensen. Top of the box here for Neuenschwander, now near side with Densley. The opening goal, Ethan, much better job there defensively for AF. Pete continuing to work it around here. That same side, and it's a goal for Neuenschwander as he's able to send that over the netting of the stick and in 3-1.
Yeah, not a conventional place to shoot your shot, right above the goalie's stick, but manages to find the back of the net there. And I really loved how he changed his speeds, right? He was running fast, then kind of did like a little shuffle and was able to get past this guy, able to get his hands free. American Fork, they've got to do something on the defensive end to stop that attack from that side. All of the Lone Peak goals have come from almost the exact same spot on the field.
And I think most of their shots even.
Right.
We talk about how big this game would be. It would force a two-way tie, second in the region. But RPI, I mean, this is a top 10 battle. AF right now sitting at third in 6A. And Lone Peak, I think, at 7 coming into this one. And so would certainly go a long way to helping Lone Peak get up in that top 5 with playoffs coming up here in just a couple weeks.
Absolutely. The RPI is a fascinating metric to use, Dane, as we progress through this. At the end of the day, you know, you'll still have to play Corner Canyon to win that championship. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Check, there's a flag coming in. And AF trying to possess as soon as they can. They still can't. Now they have it. We'll get the stoppage. And now we'll get the whistle offside here at the call.
Fair call. There's a lot of lines out there on this field. You know, you're hustling hard, trying to get that ball back for your team. Just happened to step over. Happens to the best of them.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what lines we're playing. Is it the darks? I think it's the grays.
I think there is a gray line.
There
Might
is
be
a gray
hard
line
to pick up on the camera, but I think it is the gray line.
I did just discover there's a pylon sitting right on it. So just draw imaginary lines between pylons. That'll tell you kind of where you got to be. So good luck with that. Top of the box here, Neuenschwander. Worked back over other side, and that was friendly fire as Tucker got in the way of that. Didn't allow the shot to make its way through, and American Fork here escaping the zone. And how about the goalie Klein coming all the way up with it here? And that one jarred loose, and now the cage. Lone Peak trying to take advantage. Christofferson, big windup. Oh, and he missed it. Backed up. Good opportunity.
It's probably one of those things where the goal is so wide open that it becomes not open, right? It's just a mental game for him, and just happens to sail wide there. He'll want that one back. He's going to rehearse that a few times tonight.
And was it McKay Locke who got back? I mean, look, I don't know about you. I'm not wearing pads to step in front of that. So, I mean, I think it was Locke, whoever it was, man. Tip of the cap for guts of the night.
Absolutely. You know, I love it, though. You know, that's what his team requires. That's what it requires for a game like this. You know, a little bit of craziness to get in there, but definitely worked.
Boy, Denny found Christofferson, but just couldn't corral the pass. And now we've got a whistle here. Is behind the net. Loose ball push here. We'll give it to American Fork. Just under 3.5 to go here. Opening quarter, 3-1 Lone Peak. 3 different goal scorers for the Knights. It's again Klein, content to take open space here. He's about to bring this into the offensive zone. Boy, nearly lost it again. A couple stick checks. And that rolls out. It'll stay with the Cavemen.
It's an interesting thing, Dane, right? You have a goalie who's willing to come out of the cage. Lone Peak's willing to let them come out of the cage. But at the same time, he's looking a little tired already, right? Like, you don't want your goalie to get tired in the first quarter.
He's kneeling. I don't blame him. I would be too. But and for me, you get a stick check, and it's like, man, I think the ball can beat you back down the field, huh?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. If I were him, I would stay there. However, if Lone Peak still gives you the green light, it's a tricky situation. A little bit of a mental game there.
Look, if they're not going to mark you, I mean, you basically got a free run to bring it up to the offensive zone, and you hand it off, you get back, can maybe work. Reichert peeling back. As we've got whistles here again. I'm going to ask for patience. We've taken shelter here at Lone Peak. We're inside the press box, so whistles and things a little hard to hear. We'll do our best on keeping you aligned with things. We got a penalty here, and this is going to be a check, cross check called here on Neuenschwander. So AF will go man up here for the first time of the night. See if the Cavemen can execute here. Near side, Squire works back to Noah. Other side. Oh, big windup and a goal. That is Tate coming up with his first of the game and pulls American Fork to within one.
Great ball movement there by the Cavemen. You see they tried to push this lane, which I thought they had open. They thought differently, worked it back around X, and just a great shot from the wing. You know, that's the shot you give up when you're man down, and just great shot placement there. Great effort there by Fisher.
Love the way that the attack men worked there, right? One side worked behind, back, and an open look for Tate, able to score it.
And it comes from that quick ball movement, right? That's how you beat a man down defense, is you get the ball moving quickly so that the defense has to really recover well in order to stop that.
Good face-off win there for American Fork. And I mean, you want to talk about numbers. How about Zachary Bezin? I was wondering if this was right. 8:57 from the spot.
It's correct, for sure.
And it leads to a goal. The face-off win is are able to find Tate once again. Back-to-back goals here for American Fork, and they've tied it up at 3.
You were mentioning Bazan at the face-off X, clearly the best face-off man in the state this year. He's gone up against great competition. We've talked about it on end at how well this region plays, and just been phenomenal for the Cavemen. And you see what it does to your game when you can open up and win those face-offs, right? You can get in there, you can push that offense, you can control the tempo. It's just a huge asset to have in American Fork's belt.
Bezin able to come back and grab it, and now downshifting as he's got himself another gear. Love the pursuit there by Cameron Clough, who, look, he's not bad from the spot either. He's 7'14". Bezin here, that was deflected, save put on there by Bushman. Two really good face-off men going to battle here tonight.
Yep, it's exciting to see. It's fun to watch. See who gets the better of them tonight as this one progresses. Lone Peak going with a pull for a couple of those first face-offs, which is also a strategy. It's kind of conceding defeat, but then slowing them down afterwards.
Nice save made there by Klein, as it was a good look right through the middle there by Densley. Right down Knight Lane, but Klein there up to the task as we're inside of a minute to go. American Fork, look at all the space again. Bezin getting it in front. Lone Peak ends up sending Oswald to the turf. Regathered and scored. Oh, Taylor Bezin, the senior, able to score his 5th of the year, and American Fork takes the 4-3 lead.
I love it when the poles stay in transition, right? A normal pole maybe does his job, clears the ball, and then runs off. But Bezin just stays in the play, picks up the loose ball, and just slings it home. That's the beauty of a pole goal, right? It's coming from a different angle. The goalie's not used to maybe necessarily that. And it's just fun. It's a great strategy, great opportunity there for the Cavemen to gain the lead.
How about the space in the midfield for AF in this first quarter? They've had a lot of room to just run at will, and it's allowed them to set up offense quickly.
Absolutely. Coach Tucker must have seen something in their first game where he felt that would pay off, and it has and hasn't, I guess you could argue.
This ball push here. Give it to American Fork. Lone Peak had a 2-goal lead, and how about the close of this quarter by AF? 3 unanswered with the potential to go for 4. Working around, no look shot was denied. Another opportunity doesn't make its way through, and the Lone Peak defense holds. It was a one-goal game in the first matchup after one. It's a one-goal game after one in the second. AF leading Lone Peak 4-3. You're watching Game Night Live Rewind's Game of the Week.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Test day's test day. Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
Tests on your time. Courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of VU.
Jake said these are awesome for studying.
Line. You shouldn't ever take someone else's medication.
Know your script. Talk to your kids about the dangers of sharing prescriptions.
Welcome back. Game Night Live Rewind's Game of the Week is brought to you by Heidemann Associates. Full service law firm. If you have any legal needs, be it business, personal, want to set up a living will and trust, whatever you might need to get done, the experts at Heidemann Associates will take care of you. For a free consultation, call 801-754-4240. 4-3 Lone Peak. It looked like the Knights playing really good for the first 9 minutes, but an impressive closeout by AF has the Cavemen ahead by 1.
Yeah, you know, lacrosse is commonly known as a game of runs, and we see that there. Just excellent play there by American Fork on the offensive end, able to kind of get in their groove. A penalty helped with that. You know, just a fun game. This is the game we thought we might be in for, Dan.
You talked about running a pull at face-off and conceding it. I mean, at this point, it just doesn't really matter. We've seen those games, right,
Sure.
where it's like it just gets dominated from the spot, and now the team's got to figure out how to get a possession back and get in their offense. As Lone Peak had it, but gave it up. Here's Noah, big wind-up, and that wide. Couldn't tell if that was gathered by Lone or deflected by Bushman or not, but Lone Peak able to win that out of the back.
I'd like to see him hang on to that ball a little longer, maybe get it into the offensive zone. Possessions, you know, Dane, in any game are important, and that's essentially a turnover. It won't be marked that way, but that's essentially what that is when you see those fast shots early in the shot clock that aren't backed up.
It's been a while since Lone Peak's been able to kind of set up offensively. See if they can get that offense going again here. Densley, I feel like he's been impressive today. He's been very active, aggressive. He's being hounded here defensively by Genesee. Regathered here is contact there behind, and there is the call on the loose ball push. Or was it?
Interference.
Interference.
So,
okay, thanks.
So yeah, you can't touch a guy, you know, outside of like a 5-yard. Can't remember if it's 5 feet or 5 yard, to be honest with you. Outside of a 5-yard radius, when someone has the ball. Sort of like a moving screen.
We're still learning the calls here. In fact, I had a call question for Tim, and I perplexed him earlier. So, you know, occasionally there's justification. Sometimes it's just, you know, slow to the sport. Here comes Lone Peak. Big wind-up, bounce shot, stopped there by Klein.
Klein's really starting to heat up, which is going to pay dividends for the Cavemen. So we see a flag down here. Again, Oswald, offside. He was the one in the first half that had the offside penalty.
Yep. That was right off the face-off. So man up here for Lone Peak.
Dane, I've been to a lot of lacrosse games throughout the state. I think this is the first one where the high school mascot has shown up. We have
the Caveman.
and it's the opposing team's mascot.
Yeah.
I love it.
First of all, let me go on record. People can record this. They can hit me up on social media, whatever. We need more mascot presences in the state. Like that fact.
Yeah.
We need more mascots. So anyway, I love it.
We found a hot button issue for Dane. Mascots.
I came from the great state of Idaho. As that one, boy, beautiful shot right in front. The goal, the equalizer coming for Lone Peak. As it was Logan Tucker. Quick trigger as he scores his 25th of the season.
You know, in that situation, if you're Tucker, that the defense is going to collapse on you quickly. He's aware of that, just catches that ball quickly, turns, shoots. Excellent shot.
All right, now we'll get back to it. I came from Idaho. Every high school up there had two things. Bands,
Okay.
either in the stadium or marching bands,
Sure.
and mascots. And when I came down here, I was like, is that not normal? Apparently it's not. You know, some schools here have great marching bands. AF has a great history. Dave has a great history. But it's just, there you go.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've yet to see a band out at a high school lacrosse game. So that'll be next on my list. Now
There
that
you go.
Now that we have the mascot checked off, band.
High check by Seth Dahl. And that's going to earn him some time near the table at the middle of the field. As it was drawn there by Bezin.
These two teams, like we've talked about, big rivals in all sports. Region's positioning on the line. I certainly expect to see more of that coming down the line.
Let's be honest. If the Lone Peak night mascot were here, the two mascots would be having a halftime wrestling match. Like, that's the kind of, you know.
Or dance off.
Yeah, one of the two. One
Sure.
of the two. It'd be a friendly wrestling match.
Yeah.
But, you know. There's a non-releasable penalty. Ooh, costly for Lone Peak. Is AF going to go man up here? And they'll have some time and an opportunity to really do some damage.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Lone Peak on the penalty. It definitely was non-releasable. No need for that, Dan. You're in a tie game. You know, still lots of lacrosse left to be played tonight, but just no need for that type of play, really ever. You know, accidents happen. I get it, but a big opportunity here for American Fork.
How much of that's just frustration that Bezin's just been winning face-off after face-off, and you feel like you got an opportunity to maybe send a message and
Sure.
it gets away from you?
Yeah, no, that's definitely part of it. You know, and so if I'm American Fork, I'm realizing that, I'm internalizing that and saying to myself, hey, let's get 2 or 3 here.
Worked back here with Noah. Good ball movement here by the Cavemen. Vitkowskis. Oh, and a good save made there on the shutdown by Bushman.
Great ball movement there by American Fork. Frees up the open shot. Great angle, but an excellent save for Lone Peak.
Here's Conor Kelly playing this ball up through the middle. As Jackson Brinton working around here. That pass a little off target. AF was able to kind of knock it away, but regathered by Kelly and the Knights. Nice stick check there by Taylor. And Bezant now looking up. Boy, he's got numbers here for AF. Gathered by Oswald. Tried to get that over to Tate just behind him. Would have been right in front of the cage, and Lone Peak comes up with the ball.
I love the cherry picking going on, right? That's an old school basketball play. Unable to just collect that. If he's able to pull that in and make that next pass, it's definitely a goal for the Cavemen.
Lone Peak going to take a timeout here. 4 apiece. 8:16 to go here in the opening quarter. Lone Peak, AF in a battle on Game Night Live Rewind.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Or if my kid had a fever.
Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
I want to take tests when I'm ready.
I want to take courses on my time.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Jake said these are awesome for studying.
Line. You shouldn't ever take someone else's medication.
Know your script. Talk to your kids about the dangers of sharing prescriptions.
Welcome back. We talked about the mascot, and he's getting into it. Traded in the spear for the lacrosse stick. Wise move.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Cody the caveman?
I was going to suggest Cletus, but I don't think that works for a caveman.
Okay.
I'm sure some AF fan is probably swearing at the stream right now. I don't know. I'll figure that out.
We'll get you next time.
I'll text some AF friends. I'll ask them. Stoppage here just inside of 8 minutes as that ball went out.
Reminder, we're playing the gray lines. They may be invisible on the stream because they're virtually invisible up here. But, you know, Dane, we're going to a lot of high school games each week. And just seeing the different fields that people play. You know, Olympus will put down cones on the side of their field. Some people are playing the outside football line. Some are playing the inside. Some are playing the gray line. Some are playing that black line. Some will play with the soccer dimension. So always interesting to see. I will tell you, though, there's one constant, and that's the crease. It's always the same size, which is the important one. Let's be honest.
That is important. AF with it as back to even strength here. Lone Peak able to kill off the man down situation. Sent up here with Witkowskis.
American Fork only has 5 on the field, and I don't see anyone in the box.
Yeah. You're right. I think the staff just realized it. As right now they're going to bring Tate Fisher on. Good call there, Tim.
It was an interesting dynamic because they were Lone Peak's locking off Fisher, and so it was,
It was like no wonder they can't move the ball, huh?
Right, it was 5 on 4.
Witkowskis near side as we approach the midway point here of our second quarter. Just one goal here in the frame, trying to change that. No pass there. At least I think a pass to Noah Fisher. Looked like too coincidental for that to be a shot that was off target. Witkowskis. Tate. Sending it back out here with Austin. Over now with Jordan Reckling. Sustained possession here by American Fork, making that Lone Peak defense try to work. Oswald. Looking for that quick turn in the shot and was defended well there by the Knights. Send to X here with Noah. Noah. Thought he was going to look for a shot. Peeling back. Noah, the bouncer. And that was shy of the goal. Hit the netting on the outside. And we'll get the stoppage here. I didn't see a flag.
It's hiding on the 30-yard line. I think I didn't see it throw it. It must have been off ball. But yeah, definitely hiding down there.
Yeah, Broussard here going to serve time for Lone Peak. So AF will go man up here again. And you're right, it was at an angle where the bench, players on the bench covering it, so I couldn't see it. So man up here for American Fork.
First man up opportunity for AF was great. It was that great ball movement, able to get the shot off the wing. The second opportunity, not much going.
Oh, nice movement. And look, you give Tate the ball right there, he's going to score it. His third of the game, and it's 5-4.
Again, great ball movement will do great things when you're man up, and that's what you see there. Just a great little play to overload that one side, and then Tate coming around the crease. Is going to go one-on-one. And again, Tate also equally tall, right?
Yeah.
American Fork, two very tall attackmen. And just, you know, it definitely helps that angle, especially when you're that tall and just kind of tower over the goal. Great shot, great goal.
2 for 3 on the man-up situations, AF today.
Yeah, and so if I'm Lone Peak, you know, I'm not backing off my physicalness or aggressiveness, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. It's kind of like having a third foul in basketball in the first half.
Team's battling here. Conor Kelly able to peel it. There's a cheer going around as the stick breaks. Oh, betrayed. Luke Broussard. That head just popped right off.
Totally betrayed. That's an excellent way to describe it, Dane. He was wide open.
There were literally cheers that Lone Peak would want to face off, and the ball comes to him, and the head flies off.
Yeah, and technically, honestly, what he did was illegal. You can't do that.
You're not supposed to pick it up, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to leave it, and then you know, refs turning a blind eye to that one.
That shot missed. Is it because, Tim, that the head came off as opposed to the stick breaking?
It shouldn't be, because in theory, the end of that stick is still sharp. It's still considered dangerous. That may be, though, what the refs were thinking.
They were trying to work it to Tate. He never possessed that as it's regathered here by Oswald. Here's Fillmore. Near side as we're inside of 4 minutes to go here in the first half. We've got stoppage here. Timeout going to be taken by American Fork. Coach Poole wanting to talk things over. AF with the lead and the ball when we come back. Five for American Fork. Cavemen trailed 3-1. Back in the first, and the man up has really helped this offense to start clicking, finding success. And Lone Peak defense has played pretty well, Tim.
They have. You know, they've stood tall. A couple great saves there as well. really limiting the shots that some of the American Fork killers are taking, and they have done well. On the flip side, if you're American Fork, I think a little bit more ball movement to really get the Lone Peak defense moving would pay dividends.
It's been the Fishers. They've been the problems. 4 goals between Noah and Tate today. This is Tate with it now. He's got 3 of those 4 worked over with Oswald. Turning back to the middle, help coming over there on the push by Reichert. They were looking to get it back to him. Pass couldn't connect. Ground ball. And Lone Peak able to win this thanks to Nick Seary. A name very familiar with the turf here at Knight Stadium. That state championship football team, he and Conor Kelly. As Lone Peak bringing it up here with Vest, now working behind with Tucker. We'll go top of the box here to Neuenschwander.
I think if you're Lone Peak, you get to where you get to that spot on the field, that alley that paid huge dividends in the first quarter. Really haven't seen them really going back to that spot.
Oh. Nice movement there. The check jarring it loose. Lone Peak able to recover it here with Tucker. You're right. It's that far side angle, right, where they attacked in the first. Right here, cut back to the right. You see the attempt here to do it. Nice cutoff there coming over on the help by Ed Card. Really took away the lane there from Densley. Neuenschwander. Oh, beautiful juke. Big windup. Oh, no, it did not score.
off the crossbar, goes all the way back to midfield.
I lost that ball after it hit the post, and so I thought it went in. I think half the fans here did as well.
If it didn't go so far back to the midline, I would question if it actually did, in fact, hit that top net. That top net is really tight, Dan, and I've seen balls come off of that before. But as you see the over and back call, and then they're going to give it an offsides, not an over and back because it did hit the pipe, but ball retained here by American Fork. Great movement, though, like you said.
Oh, that's a big save put on there by Bushman. It was Bezant trying to take care of scoring duties there. Regathered here by Vitkauskis.
Bezant had that one in the first quarter where he stayed in the offense, was able to get the rebound. He was feeling like he had the hot hand there. And I don't blame him.
No.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that lane opened up, right? It's like, keep going. I mean, saying in basketball, right? Stop the ball. And
right.
If you got the lane, take advantage of it. Here's Squire, pressured from behind. And we've got whistles here. We've got another timeout taken by AF. Second timeout of the half taken by American Fork. With 48 seconds to go, we'll be back with the conclusion of the first half after this.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Test day's test day. Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of View. American Fork
with the ball, 5-4 lead. This game playing out very similarly, Tim, to that first one. It was 3-2 in the first matchup. AF only 1 goal in the second. They led 4-2 at the break. Here it was 4-3 after the first. 1 goal for each side here in the second. But I thought that we'd see a lot of offense between these two teams, and just like in the first battle, it's been defenses that have done a nice job of slowing offenses down.
I have a theory about that, and that's that when the teams really deeply care about a game, you start to see the defenses really stepping up, really playing well. And so it kind of has that playoff feel to it, and so that's why we're seeing that low score.
Yeah, but that's not as fun. Everyone wants offense, so come on, guys.
True.
Here's Couillard. Tried to play to the middle with Kelly. That pass off the mark, and it will go to American Fork as a late flag coming on here. Right in the middle, and AF going to be called for the offside here. That'll go on Fisher.
That's now 3 on American Fork attackmen. 1's an accident, 2's an accident, 3's a habit, 4's a problem. Right? So if we get to 4, we've got problems.
Well, and maybe the most critical thing, if AF can score here, if Lone Peak can score, being man up, they can tie the game. And where AF could have gone down with a lead, maybe expand that lead. Now the question here is, Tim, do you get a shot or do you hold possession so you start the second half?
Oh, it's tricky because about half the penalty is going to tick away here, right? If you hold it.
The other thing is you aren't going to win the face-off.
True. And so again, do you value that possession, right?
This one just being swept up by Taylor Bezant. Still on the turf. Lone Peak trying to get it, and they won't. So they won't get either. They don't get a goal. They won't get the ball to start the second half, and they'll have a 1-point deficit.
Yeah, not what you want if you're Coach Tucker heading into the break. But again, you kind of just have to live with it. You're right, though. They should have held it in that situation, I think, because then they would have started with it. Bezant has just been great at the face-off X for American Fork. He's been great all year. So tricky way to end the half, but all is not lost. Still just down by 1. Second half's going to be great.
10-minute halftime. We'll be back with the second half. American Fork leading Lone Peak 5-4. Welcome back here at Lone Peak High School. The Knights and the American Fork Caveman at the break. AF leading Lone Peak 5-4. Dane Stewart, Tim Haslam from the Utah Lax report. Tim, 4 different goal scorers for Lone Peak. Meanwhile, just 3 for American Fork. Noah and Tate Fisher have combined for 4 of the 5 goals. And look, I mean, we talked about it. The man down opportunity, or the man up opportunity for AF kind of helped propel that offense, and they really haven't looked back since that point.
Yeah, they've used those momentum swings to really take advantage and score big goals. If I'm Lone Peak, I'm going to Anders or I'm going to Tucker to try to move that ball around, generate some offense, draw those slides, get something going on the offensive end.
Boy, one where Bezant actually stepped on the ball, lost his footing, and that gave Lone Peak the possession. We'll see what Lone Peak has here on this first offensive possession of this second half. Neuenschwander, Brinton, and Densley all with first quarter goals. One goal in the second quarter scored by Tucker. He's working around here. Tough shot, a nice save put on there by Klein, who's been stout today. It's backed up by Lone Peak.
Klein did give up those couple goals early on that I thought he should have saved, but has been just great since then.
Yeah.
Really turned into having his own game here today.
The one kind of snuck in. The other was crossbody. One kind of came high on him. But since that point, you're right. He's really dialed in, and he's taken away some of those angles. He's had help on slides defensively to terminate some of the. And it's an AF team that has started to settle in here. Nice juke there by Christensen, and that deflected, backed up here by Lone Peak. Tim, if you're Lone Peak, we talked about that angle shot. They found it early. We'll come back to that because AF has the ball. Caveman, the ball movement's been really good. As here's Bezant again, end to end. That one, oh, what a finish. Beautiful goal being scored by Camden Oswald, his first of the game. I didn't know that ball was going to find its way to Camden, but he was in front of the net all alone.
Starts at the defensive end. Bezant just able to get his stick in the lane, creates that turnover, then leads the charge on the offensive end on the fast break. Oswald looked like he stumbled a little bit, reached out, caught it, shot from his knees. What a great goal. Excellent play there by the Caveman. That's a huge momentum play right there.
Indubitably. Because it felt like Lone Peak kind of coming out, right? And then you get, again, all that space in the middle of the field for AF. Quick pass right in front. And the Cavemen with their largest lead at 2 goals.
Yeah, and another great face-off win here for American Fork.
In the corner here. That one couldn't be gathered. Kelly with it for Lone Peak. Our clock got a little bit ahead, so we're just pausing it. Wait for the game clock to catch up to it as we've got a stoppage here at injury on that far side for American Fork.
I think it's Klein. I think he went out to chase that ball down. And
you're right. We've talked about a goalie, and we kind of joked about it in the first half. He's running up to the offensive end of the field, and right now, boy, he's struggling to put weight on that leg.
American Fork didn't have a goalie for the JV game, and so they utilized one of Lone Peak's extra goalies, gave him an American Fork jersey.
Do you think Lone Peak will share here?
That's my point, Dane. I don't see a backup goalie for American Fork.
Look, we've got a mascot. He's got some padding. He was carrying a lacrosse stick. I mean, why not, huh?
Plot twist.
Hey!
What a plot twist that would be. Obviously not going to happen, but
by the way,
fun to think about.
By the way, Rocky
the Caveman.
According to sources, Rocky the Caveman.
I love it.
Want to thank Coach Beam, the football coach. Look, there's a reason why we make contacts with coaches. It's for important questions like what's the mascot's name?
Did you give him any context?
No.
Okay, you're going to have to do that later.
Hey, Coach, random question for you. What's the name of the AF mascot?
Okay.
Rocky.
And he delivered.
I knew he would.
It.
Coach Beam, he's solid like that.
I love it.
Look, he's going to have to come off because of the injury, so you've got to deal with it just momentarily while you can make a sub, right? Or do you not have to come off due to an injury stoppage?
No, I don't believe you do. I mean, it's common practice, but that could be what they're talking about right here. He's going to, he threw his water bottle in, and I think he's okay. But they don't have a backup. If they did have a backup, there would be time allowed for the backup to warm up, similar to like a pitcher entering the game. But there is not a player on the American Fork sideline with a goalie stick.
I'm going to start the chant myself. Rocky. Anyway, I am surprised. Again, I'm learning lacrosse. I'm surprised you don't have to come off due to a stoppage due to injury. That surprises me. Most sports you have to.
And most sports they do because they are injured. It looks like when he got up, it was he was just kind of favoring that ankle, opting to stay in the game. Dane, I've seen a lot of crazy things at lacrosse games. It wouldn't surprise me if the ref said,
"You don't have a backup."
You don't have a backup. He looks to be fine. We're just going to continue to play this game.
Well, they took away a golden moment for a mascot to make a lacrosse debut, but, that's okay. Lone Peak will have it. They come back near side to Densley. He had the first goal of the game for the Knights. Denny gaining steam here. We'll send out to Neuenschwander, back with Densley. Working it. GLE pulling around, and there's the keep, making the save there by Klein. Lone Peak putting some pressure on here. That's scooped up by Genesee.
Tough ride there by the Lone Peak attack. Ironic, Dane, we called the Utah game on Saturday. Josh Stout, one of the best attackmen who ride in the country, played high school lacrosse at Lone Peak. It's just part of their program, Dane.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. The field was grass when he played here. But. Who's counting?
Yeah.
Who's keeping track of that?
Oh, what a shot. The goal from Lone Peak, a much-needed goal for the Knights offense. And was that Neuenschwander who ripped that?
Yes, it was. Just an excellent goal. Able to step down, uses the defenseman as a screen. That's hard for the goalie to track. Excellent shot, excellent goal. We talked about it at the break day and off air. We got to get him more involved in this Lone Peak offense if they want to make a comeback here.
29 goals, 18 assists on the year for Anders. And we talked about 4 different goal scorers in the first half. He just had the one. To your point, get your guy and let him work.
That's right. Clearly he's got the hot hand for the Knights. Definitely want to see him more involved moving forward.
Well, here comes Lone Peak off the face-off. Brassard working over. Here's Couillard. He'll show some patience here. Lone Peak with a chance to tie it up. Remember, they scored 3 goals. I mean, just the first couple of minutes of this contest.
Right.
Here is Anders. Gets around. Anders in front. Oh, boy, Klein able to body that one down. Ball on the turf here. Gathered by Lone Peak.
You got to come away with that ball, Dane. If it's right in front of your crease, you got to clear that if you're American Fork. Great effort, though, by Anders. Able to weave through that American Fork defense. Good save, though, by Klein.
That was Christofferson that came away with it for the Knights. Brenton sending back with Couillard. Brenton again. Here's Anders. See that lane opening up. The shot. And that was off the side of the net. That's the same look, though.
It absolutely is. You see American Fork didn't slide in the first quarter, and it allowed those goals to slide there by Card. A little late for my liking. I'd like to see that come a little earlier, but at least they're sliding this time.
Mikauskis running up. Oh, and Noah had an opportunity, but that leapt out of the pocket before he could get a shot. Tate with it now for American Fork. 2 things. One, Klein, rather than bringing it up himself, he threw it up to Vitkauskis, right?
Right.
I think he's probably not 100%, but he's playing through whatever he's dealing with. He's still kind of shaking out that ankle in the cage. The other item is, even Vitkauskis caught that in midfield, he's got 30 yards of run before anyone collapses on him.
You're absolutely right. It's fascinating, and it's actually also surprising that American Fork hasn't just penalized, just capitalized on that opportunity. They've had tons of fast breaks. They've had a couple goals, but definitely could have 3 or 4 more.
This is Noah. Good defense there by Vest. On him like a vest. See what I did there?
I got it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Vitkauskis playing over here with Oswald.
Small enough that he could be a vest.
Yeah. Brings up one of my favorite Simpsons scenes of all time. Mr. Burns, see my vest, play on the old Beauty and the Beast song. Man, that's my childhood right there. Lone Peak able to get the possession here, gathered by Ashton Gifford, a sophomore. Lone Peak now working up through the middle. Here comes Densley. Penalty flag. Back in the midfield. This has to be another offside, right?
It is, yeah. American Fork.
That ball couldn't find the back of the net, backed up, but we'll get the stoppage. And now, Tim, 4th time.
4th time's a problem.
4th time's a
We've
problem.
got problems.
It has probably been it has been a big problem. I was going to say it's been the biggest problem, but I don't know that's the case. I think the lack of slide has been the biggest problem because it's conceded, 3 of the goals.
Right.
But this has not helped the cause.
Yeah, definitely not. And look, even if Lone Peak doesn't capitalize, just the fact that you're getting penalized can play some mind games with your defense, right? They're going out there, they're going, man, we're man down again, and it can kind of just pile on. And Dane,
crafty goal right in front of the net as it was Couillard. And look, the defense collapsed down. That sticks low, so I'm just going to sweep this in, and we're tied up.
And that's just great ball movement by the Knights here to tie this game up. In this case, the offside penalty did, not great. Did give up a goal there. I was saying, though, as you know, sometimes when you get in these man-down situations, it can play mind games with your defense, and it just kind of tacks on every time, and that's a problem, right? The other problem, Dane, is that offsides is like one of the easiest penalties to avoid.
Yeah.
The boundaries are clear. It's not a judgment call by the referees like some of these other calls, but the boundaries are set. Do not cross this line. Do not have this many players on this side of the field. It's as simple as that. It's not like a slash where maybe there's some referee judgment or, a hit to the head and unnecessary roughness. Those are all judgment calls. It's very clearly defined by boundaries, and you got to abide by them.
And there's been multiple players tonight that have been caught offside. The other thing is look, I think most people say Conor Kelly is the favorite. It'd be a shock if they didn't win it. Well, that's fine, but if you want to get to a championship game and you're in a semi, you can't have those types of plays.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
The Davises, the Mountain Ridge, even Region 4, like that sort of thing, shooting yourself in the foot is hard to overcome. Is that shot by Fillmore wide backed up, it'll stay here.
And not to harp on it, but it's not like the offside rules have changed from kindergarten, through now. It's the same offsides rule that has always been the case. We're playing at this high level. You gotta do it. You gotta abide by those rules.
That's a great look for Tate Fisher, and I couldn't tell if Bushman might have got a piece of that or if it was off the post. Bushman there tight to the cage is backed up here by AF. They'll maintain possession.
Oswald doing a nice job for the Cavemen tonight. Haven't really called his name a ton, but he's been doing all the little plays like protecting that end line, backing up the ball. Just a great player to have on your team.
American Fork, possessions sent down, and that was unable to be corralled there by Tate, and a turnover here by American Fork.
Not a great pass there, and he'll want that one back, but the beautiful thing about lacrosse is he'll have another opportunity here in this game.
Here's Kelly. Speaking of,
what do they say, Dane? The ball doesn't lie? Is that what they say?
I'm a big fan that it all works out in the wash. It all comes out in the wash, right? End of the day, it all comes out in the wash. Unless it's grape juice. Here's AF. Genesee. Gonna work this up with Squire. Great battle. We thought it would be 8-6 the first game. This one tied at 6, 3.5 to go here in the third.
Look at the American Fork offensive players, Dane. They're not moving at all. Someone needs a cut. Someone needs to set a pick. Needs to be a little bit more off-ball movement. Make that Lone Peak defense really work.
Nice cutback. Oh, and a goal. You talked about Oswald. He's done a lot of little things tonight. That's a good goal there for Camden, his second of the game.
Able to get underneath his defenseman, knows that the slide is coming, shoots it anyway. I like, you know me, Dane, we've called a lot of these games together. I'm an overhand type of guy, but in that scenario, that's the shot, kind of that sidearm, maybe a three-quarter, going low to high, right over the goalie's head. Just great shot placement.
See, and I'm a fan of changing levels, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the technical guru you are. If you can shoot low to high, fine, right? But change the level on. Now, the problem with that is are you refined enough technically to be able to hit that time after time after time?
Right.
But Oswald there puts it right where he wants it, and he gives the lead to the Cavemen. Gathered here by Besant. Working up, space for Fillmore. To the middle. Fillmore, big wind up, and that was wide, and it is backed up there by the keeper Bushman.
Great backup by Bushman. He knew it was going wide and exited the cage early to get that backup. Again, those are the kind of plays we talk about getting to a championship game. Those are the kind of plays that are needed in order to advance, in the playoffs.
Oswald collecting it here for American Fork. Just one loss on the year for the Cavemen, that coming in their most recent battle. Lost a corner 17-3. And I wasn't surprised at the outcome. I was surprised at the score, and I think that they've responded, well today. Obviously, some things that they'd love to clean up, but they've responded well today.
They have, you know, they're getting back to an opponent that's more on their level, and so it has been a nice response from the Cavemen. I do think, though, that they, again, a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more dodging, a little bit more off-ball movement, maybe some screens here or there, and this could be a different story.
Well, you see everything kind of spread out here as they do have Riker kind of right in front. Now they'll bring Reckling down. You talk about getting more movement, more creativity, trying to break this down. We'll see if they elect to do that here as they'll bring Tate up with the offense here.
This is what I mean, Dane.
Yeah, you have your personnel.
You have your personnel. He's looking back to the bench. There's nothing coming from the bench.
Now there is. They'll bring Squire on, but even that, I mean, you just, you know. Little quick step. Oswald. Oh, nice move there. Sending that out. Lone Peak able to recover defensively.
Great recovery by Lone Peak after they were in a tricky situation.
Yeah, they were
down there by the goal.
Seth Dahl didn't really care about that screen, just kind of moved it off. Good physical play there by Lone Peak as Neuenschwander comes away with it. Boy, look at the race back.
Wow.
My goodness, and now a high check there as the flag will come out. We'll get the stoppage here. My goodness, man. Vitkauskis, that young man was like he was on skates.
He was running for the end zone.
Man.
Great, excellent effort there. Neuenschwander, though, you know me, Dane, love a midi that can play both ways.
Yeah.
Right? Just an excellent defensive stand on the defensive end. Picking that ground up, ball up, clearing it, and then drawing the penalty. Great play.
We await the call here. Looks like 1 minute. Or no, sorry, they were indicating one. So the player is Locke as we await the call. Called for a slash. So it was not on the check. It was a slash to the penalty.
Yeah, you know, Anders had fallen, and I think that Locke came in while he was on the ground. Can't
Okay.
the guy while he's on the ground.
Okay.
I think that's probably what they saw.
So man up here for Lone Peak. There's Neuenschwander.
Same scenario, Dane, that we had at the end of the second quarter with Lone Peak man up as time is winding down.
They got it to Tucker, but that AF defense collapsed down, able to take it away, and now AF on the run. Tate will recover that.
Yep, they need to hold it here.
Yep.
I would just run. You got to run.
Yeah, no reason to push it. And that's a heady play there by Noah, the senior, recognizing, hey, I got you. I know what to do. Third quarter expiring. AF still in front of Lone Peak. 7-6 on Game Night Live Rewind's Game of the Week.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Test day's test day. Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
Tests on your time, courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
College wasn't built for me.
It didn't care if I had to work a double shift.
Or if my kid had a fever.
Deadline's a deadline.
I want to set the deadlines.
I'm going to take tests when I'm ready.
I want to take courses on my time.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Start of the fourth quarter. It'll be man up here for Lone Peak for about the next 24 seconds-ish. And Lone Peak trailing here 7-6.
But American Fork will start with the ball,
right,
since they had possession when the quarter ended.
Well, let's be honest. If there was a face-off, they would have started with the ball as well. So
yeah, you're right.
I say that in jest, but it's been strong from the spot today for AF, as it has been all year long for Besant and company.
So normally, Dane, the play out of a situation like this is you would go and immediately double team the ball, right? And so it looks like it's going to end up on that far wing with Noah Fisher and just one guy on him. The Lone Peak guy is going to trot to the middle, the extra one. Interesting.
And not a lot of real intense pressure here by Lone Peak.
Although, what did we say? About 10 seconds probably at this point left in the penalty?
Yeah.
So that's the other factor. You don't want to go pressure out and then
that's
have
fair.
A guy run on wide open.
That's fair.
Like he's doing right now. Yep.
Send it out. Shot. Oh, and it trickled in. The goal from Bennett Fillmore, his first of the contest. Boy, that's one where if you're Bushman, you're there. And it just slips by you.
You know, though, that's just part of being a goalie.
Yeah.
Right? That's happened to him before. It happens to every goalie. Unfortunate timing too. That could have been a big offensive stand or defensive stand. You know, now that Lone Peak trails by 2. Bummer for Bushman.
So AF back up here by 2. 11:31 to go here in our final frame. That pass taken away. Here's Conor Kelly, and he'll wait.
Lone Peak again playing with those 2 poles on the face-off. When Utah used to do it, they used to call it the twin package because you had the twin poles.
Here's Christofferson. High check there by Taylor Besant, able to jar that loose. Fillmore, space. Worked over with Noah, back to Bennett. Here's Vitkauskas. Giving that over with Reichert. Just came on. Reichert able to get around the shot. And that saved there by Bushman. Able to dig that out.
It's what we want to see on the American Fork end, right? We want to see that movement. We want to see dodges. That's really going to open up this offense for American Fork.
Oh, man. I don't know how Oswald was able to pluck that out of the air, but quickly gets it out and in the goal. And it's the largest lead of the game now for the Cavemen, 9-6.
Good feed there. Great handle there by Oswald. The window of opportunity was dwindling, and he just was able to get that right over the goalie's head. Excellent goal. If you're Lone Peak, lots of time left in this game, right? No need to panic. No need to say, hey, this game's over. Still lots could happen.
It's been an 8-3 run by American Fork.
Wow.
It's about the 4-minute mark of the first quarter, I believe. It's just one where haven't been able to really capitalize on opportunities. As a ground ball here, still kind of being passed around, out of play here. And they'll say last touch there by Lone Peak.
Unfortunate there for Lone Peak. They had a couple opportunities to pick that ball up the turf, get it in their offensive end, but they'll need to get that one back.
Yeah. Well, they need that defense to come up with a couple stops here in this fourth. Worked around, good ball movement, tough shot, and a nice save there by Bushman. That's not an easy one to make, but he does it on one of the top goal scorers for AF.
Again, if Lone Peak can continue to move that ball around, create that pressure, this game could get out of hand pretty quickly.
Hesitation there by Squires. He shows some patience. Offense here looking to reset for the Cavemen. Oswald. Tate being guarded here by Vest. Tate gets around him. Tate shot, and that was deflected, backed up. It'll stay here.
Okay, Dane, step one, so far so good, right? You beat your guy on the dodge. There was no cutters, right? So he was forced to take that shot. Not the greatest shot. I'd like to see that American Fork kind of help him on that, right? Because as that slide comes, it's going to leave a couple guys open instead of relying on him to finish.
And that time, Tate made the cut to the middle, but Bushman was on it. Big save there for the sophomore goalie for Lone Peak, and the Knights with an opportunity to come up. And we've got whistles here. We have a timeout taken by Lone Peak. It's Coach Tucker recognizing, hey, we got 8.5, plenty of time, but we need to start executing when we have opportunities. Timeout Lone Peak.
That's right. You got 2 timeouts, 8:34 left in this game. Again, like we've talked about the whole broadcast, not for a region title, but for the bragging rights, for the crosstown rivals. It's an important game. The message here that I would send if I'm Coach Tucker, look, guys, on defense, we're doing what we're supposed to, right? We've given up a couple, good goals. Let's continue to play defense the way that we know how, continue with those slides, continue with that great one-on-one defense. On offense, got to move the ball, get it to Anders, right? Let him create, and then move that ball if that slide comes, and good things will happen.
You take away the Corner Canyon game, Lone Peak has gotten to double digits in 6 of their last 7. The only one they did not was against American Fork, right? So we talk about an offense that's been coming together, and yet you're going up against AF again, and it's been tough to have that consistency and that execution on the offensive end. If you are Lone Peak, do you look for Anders here, or do you try to maybe get some of your other guys going? We talk about some of the depth of scoring. Logan Tucker has 24 goals. Couillard now with 20 on the year. Do you look for some of these other guys to try to take some of that off of Anders, or do you go to your guy?
You certainly can, but in my opinion, it's got to start with Anders, right? It's him driving down the lane. And then if a slide comes, move it to one of those other players, right? Because they're going to be open. If the slide doesn't come, I trust him to take that shot.
They'll come near side here with Densley. Worked down with Tucker. Still with it. Had a little bit of an edge there, but recognized not much to work with. Here is Anders. He'll give that to the angle, and a bounce shot saved. Help from the post there with Klein, but Lone Peak still with it. Here's Denny. Back to Anders. Anders trying to work around. Lots of traffic, and that one doesn't find its way through as AF shut the lane down. Boy, Bezant coming over. And we've got a whistle here. How about the physicality of Taylor Bezant today?
Yeah, he's been all over the field, leading that charge on defense. I love it. Loose ball push here on the Cavemen, playing really aggressively. And Dane, maybe that plays into it. Maybe Lone Peak's playing a little timid. Anders certainly not afraid to take that check, but I'd like to see them utilize this screen, and then get that short stick matchup.
Anders turning back to the middle. Anders with the goal. Neuenschwander, you talked about leveraging that screen, Tim. He does, and pulls Lone Peak to within 2.
And Dane, it's been there for almost the whole night, right? Just get Anders the ball on a short stick. The slides aren't coming from American Fork. And just a great shot. The bounce shot right over the goalie's shoulder, right into the top of the net. That's a great heads up, great play. He was added to the All-American. We did a midseason All-American watch list. He was added because of the play that he's had so far this season. We weren't sure where, if he would make that preseason one. He's had knee injuries, and so we've just been really impressed, and him getting added to that list, and you see it. That's why.
Well, I love that he runs past his target so that he can set up that shot coming back to a strong hand, right?
Yeah. It's just a great play. It's just smart offense. And the screen finally came, right? They kind of tried to do a razor pick the previous time. Bezant was able to hang with him, but this time actually get a great screen, and good things happen.
That ball kind of leapt away from Tate. Ground ball here, gathered. Fillmore couldn't gather it. Lone Peak now looking to get a clear. Looking up, some space here for Clough. I couldn't possess it.
That's big time. That would have been a big, big clear.
Yeah. Here's Fillmore, space for him. AF signaling for a timeout, and they'll take it. Felt like they maybe wanted to take advantage of that. The sideline did, and didn't get that outcome on the field. Timeout here taken by Coach Poole. The Cavemen want to talk things over. You're watching Game Night Live Rewind's Game of the Week. .6:24 to go. American Fork have the possession. Interesting moment here for the Cavemen, as we were wondering how aggressive they might be, and boy, they were looking to be right in front, but we had a stoppage there. And is that interference again?
I didn't quite see the call. It probably was interference or a moving screen, something along those lines.
And so Lone Peak able to get the stop that they needed, and that nearly given up, and it is.
Whoa.
Ooh, high check there.
Yep.
And a penalty flag being thrown. So Lone Peak going to be penalized here. AF will play out the possession, and not what the Knights needed.
Definitely not what the Knights needed. If I'm American Fork, I am working this ball around
all the time in the world,
as long as the refs will let me.
I mean, you've got to be one-on-one with no one within 5 yards and 3 yards in front of the cage for me to take a shot here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a perfect time to work around, get the right shot.
Had a tough one. Batted around, and Lone Peak couldn't get it. And the shot is scored, as it was Luke Squire who took the initial one, kind of stays with it, comes back to gather, and he's got the goal.
I think the Lone Peak defense, first of all, he took one to the noggin, which has got to hurt.
Yeah.
And then second of all, I think that they were just waiting for one of their teammates to
Yeah,
pick
they
it up
kinda
and kill the
stopped.
possession.
Yeah.
But American Fork capitalizing on that. Great heads-up play. Great goal.
The lead back to 3. And it will not wipe off the penalty. And so it's going to be time served here. So AF will go man up, because this was not a technical foul.
Big
Ouch.
decision. Yeah, big decision here. This is a big face-off. Obviously, if you're American Fork, you love your chances. But, you know, Lone Peak has done well with Conor Kelly. It's kind of slowing him down.
So man up here for the Cavemen. And, boy, that pass couldn't be corralled. It'll trickle out.
Dane, what was you saying? It all comes out in the wash?
Yeah.
There you see it there.
Yep.
I didn't feel that was a hold on Lone Peak. Ball goes out of bounds. They get it back. Some call it karma. Some call it coincidence. I don't know. Some call it coming out in the wash.
So, Lone Peak, man down. And I mean, here, do you take the same? You just kind of wait to get back to even strength because you don't want to give up an odd man rush.
I mean, if
do you have time for that?
Right. Your time is dwindling. Your chances are dwindling. If you can get a great shot, I think you have to take it, but you don't want to force a turnover.
Neuenschwander's taking on this entire defense. There were 4 AF defenders around him, and Klein able to catch that out of the air. And Neuenschwander's down. And this is not good. We were talking with someone at halftime, and they said, Neuenschwander, look, he has lost part of his career due to injury. He's really had to fight back, and it's just great that he's able to play this year, and now he's on the ground again and rolling and looking like he's holding an area that has parents concerned, and probably rightfully so, given the history that we heard.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate. I didn't see the play. I know he was juking back and forth. Not sure if it was dirty or not. Probably not.
It was one where we talked about he was trying to work through the defense. You had 4 guys coming up, and he's trying to shift and turn and look for a shooting lane. And you just wonder if he tweaked something again, and they're going to have a look at him. Man, we certainly hope Anders is okay. We'll step aside as they take a look at Anders Neuenschwander, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back. Anders to his feet, jogging off. For me, big sigh of relief. Certainly hope that he's okay. There's a flag that came on. Anders going to stay on here. We were concerned a little bit about some of the shiftiness. He was trying to create a shot. If that was putting some torque, some pressure on a knee, it appears as though he looks to be okay. And again, we certainly hope that to be the case. It looked like there was an indication that maybe there was a thought that he took a shot up high. But, man, just good to see 6 apparently okay here for Lone Peak.
Yeah, definitely. Great to see him back on the field. Did you catch the penalty?
I did not, but right now it is Tucker that is kneeling, and so this looks to be another man up here for American Fork.
4 minutes in the game. Let's go D.
They haven't started the clock here, so we're going to pause ours. Free lacrosse coming your way.
Not the style I like, but I'll take it.
Look, I mean, it's not like we have work tomorrow. Shot there, backed up by Lone Peak here. Now they'll start it and stop it. 4:14 here on the scoreboard.
You know, Dave, not the first clock issues that we've had at some of these games.
Look, I'll tell you, that is nothing compared to what we've seen in some, as that's off the side of the cage, backed up here again. And look, we love Lone Peak. They're great to us. I don't say that to be critical at all. It's hard to work a clock in lacrosse. Trust me, I have to do it during streams. It's not the easiest thing. And this one lost and scored, and it's Oswald able to generate off the turnover. Nope.
The goal went in. They're judging that he came around the crease and hit his stick.
All right.
So it'd be goal interference.
Appreciate that.
Which is the right call. That's what it looked like from up here.
I just saw it go in and other things to do. So
going back to the clock issues, you're right. It's not easy to run a lacrosse clock. Also, let's give a big shout out to all the parents. There are usually parents out there who are running these clocks. It's a thankless task.
Backed up here by American Fork. Nice job there by Klein. And, you know, I mean, like, I let that run. Again, it's not an easy thing to do as they put this in play. Oh, little juke there by Klein. Oh, Klein dealing with the pressure. Able to get that away. Noah working back here to Taylor.
You can see Coach Poole with his hands up saying, slow it down, slow it down. No need to press here if you're American Fork. If I'm Lone Peak, I'm probably extending out a little further than normal, trying to get that ball back.
Back to even strength. Oswald right in front. Oh, beautiful finish coming there from Vitkauskis, his first of the game, and Oswald with the assist.
Great little play there. When you're up in this situation, again, you don't want to unnecessarily attack the crease, but when you get a great shot like that, when you get a great look like that, you're going to take it.
When we talk about Oswald, we have not really seen him with a lot of assists tonight. At least I don't believe so. That might be his first of the night, but he's got a team leading 17 coming into the contest, so he's well accustomed to sharing the ball, and that time he finds Vitkauskis for the goal.
And just a big goal, right? You're down 4 with 2:55 left. That's just an excellent opportunity there for American Fork.
And that might do it.
Yeah, especially with Bezant at the faceoff X.
Ground ball here, and it's AF had it. Conor Kelly being a pest there for this Lone Peak team, still trying to get it, and now we'll get the stoppage here, and it'll be Lone Peak possession.
They might reverse this one, Dane.
Well, Coach Poole had a different opinion. And now they're going to keep it with Lone Peak. Yeah.
Let's talk about Conor Kelly for a minute, right? You aren't used to taking faceoffs normally as a long stick. Maybe you have, as an 8th grader or something, but comes into this game and has done just an excellent job at slowing down, the American Fork faceoff team. And he's just had a great game. Again, the stat sheet won't show it, but he's played really well for the Knights tonight.
All right, so let me check hashtag sources, because as I was doing my prep for the game tonight, I thought I saw something. I was like, that's interesting. As we see Neuenschwander still with it, again trying to work against this entire defense. Lone Peak staying with it. Conor Kelly coming into the game, 8 faceoffs attempts, had not won one.
Okay.
So that had been, his season. According to Stats Report, it is a nice peel around here. And that was deflected, didn't make its way through. But to your point, he has done a nice job tonight. And, what a rocket coming there from Ian Cooler. And it is 11-8.
He collects that rebound, fakes the ball upfield. The American Fork defense bites on it, able to get past his guy and just go low to high. We've seen Lone Peak really favor that low to high shot. It's really paid dividends for them tonight.
So we'll be Kelly back here to the spot, and I want to clarify that he has done a nice job tonight in a role that up to this year has not been called on much to do.
Right.
And so going up against one of the top faceoff guys in the state, he has been good. So maybe Lone Peak does have enough time, but that faceoff won by Bezant, and there's Kelly to jar it loose.
It'll be interesting, Dane, if the other region foes are watching this game and will also start putting a poll on Bezant at the faceoff X.
Here comes Hawkins. Ben Hawkins works to the wing, back up with Anders. You don't have a lot of time here.
You got to go.
Yeah. Anders, boy, tough shot. And that gathered by Klein. Great job tracking that.
Big save by Klein. Excellent move, though, by Anders.
And here comes Vitkauskas. Talked about his speed a little bit earlier. And we've got whistles here. Is it a timeout? Yeah.
It was a timeout, Dane, because he was about to run out of the box. And so they're leading, and then we're under that 2-minute mark. The refs said, they did a keep it in is the call. And American Fork about to run out of that box, but Coach Poole gets the timeout.
11-8 timeout, American Fork. Talk about had the 8-6 win over Lone Peak earlier this year. Coming off that loss to Corner. They'll take on Skyline next. How big is this game for American Fork? Obviously, that Skyline team has been a good team in 5A. It feels like a team that is in every game. They just find scrappy ways to pull out good finishes. How big is this for AF to get back on the winning side after that Corner Canyon loss?
Yeah, it's a big step. And then, like you said, going into a Skyline game, that's a rare Saturday game. That's this Saturday.
Okay.
And so it'll be a good one heading up to Skyline. Skyline with the new turf field, just a great venue. And Skyline no slouch, right? We've talked about them in other opportunities. And number 2 right now in the 5A RPI, 7-1 on the year. And so, like you said, no slouch. It'll be a great test for American Fork. You beat Lone Peak, you get a nice win against Skyline maybe, and things start to kind of turn in your favor, and you are really starting to trend in the right direction. And as we approach the playoffs.
By the way, that ranking has to be taped on the Park City charter buses, right? I mean,
that's not their style, but I understand what you're saying. For sure.
Inside of a minute to go. Cavemen with the possession. Working around right in front. Help defense there from Nick Seary. Is that lost out?
Here's the thing, right? Game is out of reach. You're up by 3. No need to push the crease there. No need. Just could have held on the ball. We could be saying congratulations and picking our player of the game already.
Nearly had another offside, and there it is. Would be the 5th of the game if Lone Peak ever gives this up. I don't know if they will, as Vest has it here for the final 20. Just jarred off balance, and there is the possession. And now the stoppage with 13 seconds to go, and another offside here for American Fork. It's a crime of passion. I mean, that one you could tell like he's riding him, right, trying to jar it, and he knows I'm a yard over, steps back, and the official right there.
Yep. And unfortunately, that's an easy call to make for the officials, and they do so here. Probably won't matter in the outcome of the game, but definitely something to touch on if you're Coach Poole, right? You're talking to your team about this after the game. Maybe in practice tomorrow, it's a point of emphasis.
It is a big difference in the contest. The execution of the man up, AF, I thought, was more consistent with that tonight. Part of the reason why they're going to walk out of here with an 11-8 win.
Yeah, definitely. And that is a factor. That is why we talk about, your special teams playing well. And they did that better here. Ultimately, probably the difference in this one.
American Fork trailed 3-1, and then that offense got going. I'll tell you, it was a consistent effort tonight. Tate Fisher early, Camden Oswald late, as they come back and get the win here on the road. Tim, your final thoughts and a selection of our player of the game.
Yeah, we thought this game might go this way, and it did, and just a fun game, competitive game. Both teams left it out on the field. My player of the game is going to go to Bazant, but not the one that you're thinking of. I'm going to go with his brother, Taylor, the LSM, the senior LSM, all over the field tonight, taking the ball away, clearing it, getting goals, getting assists. Just a great game from him, and that's going to be my player of the game.
I love it, actually. I love the pick of Taylor Bazant. He did a lot of good little things tonight. Did not have any, had a goal in the first, but his physicality, his defense, I think in the middle especially, I love the pick. 11-8, American Fork sweeps Lone Peak this year. Congratulations to Taylor Bazant, our player of the game. For Tino Psyche, Tim Haslam, my name is Dean Stewart. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.